Daddy eats lots. Daddy eats lots. Daddy eats lots. Munch, munch, munch.
Hello and welcome to Daddy Eats Last, where we discuss the challenge of being a man in modern society and whatever the hell that even means. I'm Kane, and with Ryan, doing some Spanish stuff somewhere, eating churros and, tapas and stuff. It's just me and Matty. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. I am good.
I think in fairness, Ryan isn't actually in Spain. He's just doing some Spanish lessons today, which he could only do on a particular day. So it's just you and me. How's your weekend?
Pretty good, mate. Pretty good. We had Kim's mum's birthday today. Little athletics also kicked off yesterday, so the girls did that in the afternoon. I've been feeling pretty up and down this week. Went and had a COVID test on Tuesday morning after I spoke to the doctor. Came back negative, but I did have I was sounding a little bit nasally as well, but that didn't stop us from having a good weekend though.
Yeah, you do sound a bit nasal actually. Now that you mentioned, you obviously couldn't make it last week because you weren't feeling so great. So glad you did the right thing and got COVID tested, even though you knew it was going to be negative, because there's bugger all cases up in Queensland. Hence, birthday parties and little athletics starting. We just been in lockdown, so just like sort of Groundhog Day. We painted the cubby 2 coats of undercoat on Friday, so I did that on Friday rather than Saturday, and then yesterday was it was warm but windy down here, so not much fun. And then today was much the same. So just, outside both days for a bit. And all of a sudden it's back to Monday and try to work out what to do with the little fella in the morning.
Yeah, there we go again. What colour did you end up choosing for the cubby house?
Well, I'm arguing it's now complete with 2 coats of undercoat and it's entirely white. So then they can maybe do the roof and, touch up here and there just for aesthetically pleasing look. But yeah, so far it is white.
So far as white, a good base color.
Yeah, I think it looks okay. I thought it looked good nude, but apparently it wouldn't last very long. It wouldn't go well. Wouldn't weather very well. I said I'm tipping we'll probably get 5 years worth of mileage out of a cubby before the kids lost interest in it entirely anyway. So if it disintegrates after 5 years, I don't really care. But I was a bit overruled on that, and hence it's white.
Do you like the weather shield? You might get 10.
I didn't pick the paint. I don't think my partner was stoked. She's never painted a room or anything before, so for her it was like, oh, I've completed an adulting task. I've painted something now. So like, okay, cool.
This could be the beginning of her painting. Something cubby house. She might move on to a couple of bedrooms, and then interior design kicks off.
I don't think so. I think she was complaining about halfway through that her wrists were sore. She wasn't, no Karate Kid, wax on, wax off, and paint the fence, paint the house sort of scenario for her. So, and the little fella lasted probably about 3.5 minutes before he was fed up with painting. So then it was just trying to wrestle him, or not wrestle him literally, but keep him away from like traipsing paint all through the backyard while we spent the next sort of 6 hours painting the thing.
Always happens with me as well. I end up doing all of it.
I can't say I did all of it, but I probably did the lion's share, considering I was the one who was most vocal about not painting it in the first place.
I thought we would have a bit of a discussion about what you do apart from the full-time job you have. And the reason I wanted to have a chat about that was because you do quite a few different activities, and I'm sure there's a lot of dads and soon to be dads or single guys out there who I guess would benefit from hearing how you manage your life. You've got a wife, you've got a little fella as well, but you get so much done. And from my point of view, who is a dad as well, it's kind of a little bit inspiring to someone like me who knows you so well. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, it'd be great to hear how you go about doing it, how you manage your time, how you are involved in so many things. Because we've talked about, I guess, what you do on a day-to-day basis, but we probably haven't really talked about what else you do as well, which I thought would be interesting to hear.
I guess firstly, I should say we only have one kid, and then I guess our intention is only to have one kid. So we're not outnumbered like you are. You and your wife are outnumbered. You've got 3 kids to 2 adults. So at some point, at least one of you is going to be burdened with more than one kid, if not, 2 or 3 kids, where, we can kind of divide and conquer in that, my wife and I, like at any one time, in theory, only one of us really needs to be able to look after the little fella. He's not self-sufficient yet. And he's not at kinder at the moment. So I guess part of it's that, like, we have the ability to be able to, I say, split time, and we obviously have family time as well, but there's not the need for, someone to be with, both of us to be involved with the kids at all times, if that makes sense.
That's a fair point. But like, also bring up that before you had your little fella, because I've known you for quite some time now, and I've known you before you've had your little guy. You're doing your full-time job, but you're also doing, people may not know, not a gambling, but a horse racing website,
information
website, giving tips out on a weekly basis. So that took up a lot of time, I'd imagine, as well as a fashion blog website, as well, and then also a outsourcing, that came along as well before the little guy as well. So you haven't always just done your full-time job and nothing else. And then when your little guy came along, that's when you started your other activities outside of your normal day-to-day. You've always had these extra things going on. So is it just purely you're one of those people who can manage your time great, or is there other factors as well? Or?
I think honestly, it's really sad, Matty. I'm really boring. Like, I don't have any hobbies. Like I used to play soccer when I was much younger, like until I was sort of 24, 25, and I kind of got bone spurs in my foot, and that kind of affected my back and stuff like that. So I stopped playing soccer. But before I stopped playing soccer, so it was pretty much work and soccer. I loved it. Like I'd go to training, and then I can still kick a ball around in the backyard here at home for an hour and not get bored. Like just kicking the ball against the fence, into a net, against the wall, probably hours on end. I can do that and not get bored. So I was just, once I lost that, and that was difficult to give that up, because I'd been involved in soccer for 18 years. So then it was just try to find different things which I liked, and it happened to be that it worked out. They were like, I guess what you call business things, like the horse racing website, which is around information and giving out tips with a mate, and then the fashion site, the fashion website, because I was a little bit into it, but a couple of my friends were really into it, and I had the capacity to help them do something. So I think a lot of the things that I've kind of got involved in have just been to sort of help people more than anything else. Like the horse racing website wasn't my idea. The fashion website wasn't really my idea, but I had the capability to help somebody else do something they wanted to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. And you had an interest in both things, didn't you? Because you're quite passionate about horse racing. I mean, you're not a gambler, but you love, I guess, the racing side of things, don't you? You go to races all the time when it's spring carnival and.
Yeah, I like the horses, to be honest. I think the horses are fantastic. Like the racing's nice, but yeah, the horses, they're just an amazing animal. It's just, unfortunately, living in urban Melbourne, you don't get to see horses just down the road. So yeah, unfortunately, you only see them at races.
So I guess the one thing to take out of that so far is just maybe have a go at something that you have a little passion towards.
That is all it comes down to. If you think that, I've always wanted to do something, just have a go, because the worst thing that can happen is it doesn't work out, and you might have spent a bit of time, and time's really important. You don't want to waste time, but if you enjoy something and it doesn't work out, you haven't wasted time. I guess that's something I'm trying to drum into the little fella at the moment. Like, it's all about trying. Like, he'll just get fed up if he does something and he can't do it right the first time. He'll like kind of lose his temper, and that reminds me a lot of me when I was a kid. So I'm just trying to drum into him, mate, just have a go. Like, nothing bad's going to happen from having a go. Like, I walked in, like the story I told last week when we were talking about bits of art which had influenced over our lives. Like, I walked into a radio station. I had never had any intention of ever doing anything on radio ever. End up on community radio, met the Barefoot Investor, and that helped, down the line. So, but I had never had any intention of, I really want to be on radio, or I really want to have a horse racing website. But when these things came up, I was like, oh yeah, let's have a go and see what happens.
And once you did have the little fella, did that change, I guess, the amount of time you had to putting in towards these things? Because you no longer do the horse racing or the fashion, but on the flip side, you are doing a couple of other podcasts. You're as well running the business with your wife, pretty much 7 days a week because you're always working. plus you're, giving everything you can to the little guy too.
Yeah, I guess that's a challenge now. It's like I've got a team of 17 staff across the two businesses. So sort of 17 staff trying to manage that, manage the client-facing staff, the little fella, because we've always had him at home. And now that we're in lockdown 2.0, he's back at home. There's no kinder. So it's more managing him and expectations around that, as well as everything to do with the house. But like I said, I haven't had any like what I'd call a hobby in probably 10 years. And that, to me, it's a bit sad. I probably said to my wife when I started going out with her, listen, I'm never going to be one of those guys who probably goes out like every Friday night. I'm not going to be going to the strippers or doing anything like just hanging out with people until 4:00 every Saturday morning. But I'll probably work a bit more than a lot of people. But that's because I enjoy what I do. I enjoy helping people. And kind of what I do is, like, I think in a sort of roundabout way, is actually helping people.
Yeah, absolutely. And she stayed with you for this long, so she mustn't bother her too much.
I was very open up front. This is like, I'll probably do some work on Friday nights. I'll probably do a bit of work on weekends. But like, if you wanted to go and do something, I'll also drop that and do it. Like, it's not like that's my default setting. If I'm doing nothing rather than watch TV or, just kind of fritter away time, I'll just be doing something. And my dad's very much like that.
Yeah, you've mentioned you look at it more of a work-life blend than a balance. So obviously, where you can, you're doing some work, which might free you up some other time during the week to do these other activities, which is a great way to do it. Not just work ends here, life starts there. The old work-life balance, which has been heavily promoted, it is more like a blend.
Yeah, exactly.
The reality.
And that's what it's, especially since we had the little fella, which is almost 5 years now. He's coming up to 5 at the end of the year. Like, that's all it's been. Like, even when he was, like, I remember writing an email, like, this will sound like I'm a jerk, but I was actually like writing an email in the delivery room, like when nothing was happening, like, because it was New Year's Day and there's nothing else to do. I'm just sitting around in the delivery room while my wife's kind of in between contractions or something. So I was just emailing a couple of people work-based stuff, and the nurse was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm going, "Well, I'm useless in here. Like, I've just kind of standing around here doing nothing. I may as well do something now, which means tomorrow, when or tomorrow or 3 or 4 days time, when I am really needed. That I have a bit more time up my sleeve."
Yeah, and you've always maximised your little pockets of time, which has been, I guess, one of the advantages that allows you to do these types of things. You're not one that just, in a half-hour block, you just watch something on your phone, or just something, a mindless sort of task. You'll take advantage of that little pocket and really use it well.
But I've put myself in that position. Like, if I just wanted to do X and Y, then I could probably just do that. But I guess that's not how I've structured my life, and it wasn't deliberate. This is how it's just turned out. But if I was just wanting to just do one thing, then I probably would have a bit more time to do stuff like that. But those sort of things have never interested me that much. Like, people talking about Game of Thrones, I'm like, I've never seen an episode. It was Breaking Bad, never seen an episode. Like, I haven't watched a TV show. I've watched Mad Men. I got into that, but that's probably going back before sort of those shows. But I don't sort of have shows that I watch religiously.
And Entourage, that was classic.
Yes, yeah.
So I guess this really shows people who are either have just had their first kid or about to have kids, that sort of these kind of things don't end there. I mean, and you have to give 100% of your time to your kid. I mean, because kids only take up a certain amount of time a day, and you're left with so much other time to do your full-time job, and if you want to, these other activities. I mean, life just doesn't stop.
Yeah, it's all choices. Everything's a choice. Like, you can choose to do one thing, or you can choose to do something else. Like, you can choose to watch TV, and I'm certainly not going to pot anybody who is going to do that. I was watching a little bit of the A-League Grand Final before we jumped on here, just on a phone. Like, you can make these choices, but everything's a choice, and everyone has different choices they can make in life. And won't criticize other people's choices, but at the same time, if somebody makes a choice to do one thing and then just go, "Oh, geez, I don't have time to do something else," like, the choice is made to do the first thing that you chose to do. So it is what it is in those instances.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But yeah, I don't know. There's no magic, but like I also, I envy people who do have hobbies and do sit down and binge watch things, because unfortunately it's kind of not in my makeup to do those sort of things. So I'm kind of jealous of people who do get to do those sort of things.
Isn't that funny? Like some people are envious or jealous that some people can do all these things, extra activities, and those people, in a roundabout way, potentially jealous of, like you just said, other people who can just sit down and turn off and relax for 4 or 5 hours a night and do nothing.
Yeah, I'm never off. That's a problem. Like it's unfortunately it just never kind of switches off. Like I'll get up at 5 o'clock or 5:30 in the morning. It's sort of straight on. Like I wish, and at night it's the same. Like I'll go to bed at sort of 9:30 and I'll conk out, but it's kind of never off, which is kind of shit sometimes too.
You need a holiday.
Yeah, I don't know where I can go. I don't know where I can go within 5 kilometers, and I think I worked out that about 1.5 of those kilometers is out to sea, because we live about 2 or 3 k's from the bay, so I can swim 2 k's out apparently.
By a boat.
I'm not sure if the Coast Guard or the water police will be like, oh, listen, you have to move along here. You can't just be sitting out here in the ocean. It's recreational and not one of the 4 essential reasons. But we've only got 2 weeks of this left, and people are losing their mind down here. But you've got to choose to do the right. It's a choice. You've got to choose to do the right thing for a couple more weeks, and then we'll go back to some of the freedom that you guys have up in Queensland.
Yes,
I just want to be clear. I just want to be clear to the listeners out there. The person coughing is not the person in COVID Central. It's not me down here in Melbourne. It's Matty, who's in tropical Queensland with like 4 cases of COVID, and he's got the bug.
I apologise. I'm trying to cover up my microphone every time I cough, and it mustn't be working.
No need to apologise. I'm just explaining that I'm not. I don't have a cough, because it's probably much more serious if I have one at the moment.
No, it's me. It's me. Yep. I am wearing my mask though when I do go out of the house. So even though it's not mandatory, but it's the right thing to do. So.
I think the masks are great. I'm going to keep wearing a mask next winter, because the fact that no one's got a cold in their household
that's right.
is fantastic.
Yeah.
I reckon the number of people who've been hospitalised with the flu are like at record lows, like because everyone's wearing masks.
And I don't know if you're the same as well, but Sam was my littlest guy was sick for the first time. I reckon I got it off him at the end of last week, and I said to Kim, "That is the first time he's been sick pretty much all year." And she's like, "Well, everybody's social distancing, washing their hands more, masks." So you're right. This is an improvement on that side of things.
Yeah, but by next year we'll be all back to normal. I was having this conversation with my wife yesterday. She goes, "Oh, do you think next year people will like do the right thing and if they got a cold, they won't go to work, they won't get on the train, the kids with kids with school and childcare and stuff like that, they won't send their kids." I'm like, no, people just got to go back to normal. It's not going to change that much. We just give it a year. We've got out of the pandemic. People will be like, whoa, back to normal. Yeah. So,
yeah, people forget things quite quickly.
But I'm going to wear a mask now.
Normality again.
Happy days.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, mate, I just want to quickly ask before we wrap up here, is there anything else you haven't done that you want to do, like in terms of extracurriculars? And I don't mean, playing sport or a hobby. I mean, well, it is a hobby for you, I guess, this kind of stuff. But is there anything else in the pipeline that you're going to add to your list of things you already do?
No, if anything, I actually contemplating a couple of weeks ago, just selling everything up and just not doing anything anymore, or finding something else to do.
Oh, really?
I kind of do that periodically. Like, I always have an escape route. Like when I was employed, I always was building something, putting something together. If something went bad with my employment, I could, escape into that. Like even now, I kind of thinking of things, okay, what could I do next if I just wanted to, close up the accounting business or the outsourcing business or both of them tomorrow? What could I say close them up, sell them? Like what would I do after that? So I'm always kind of thinking of what I could do differently. And I think every so often I just kind of get fed up and just go off and do something else.
Okay, well, that will lead into this. If you did have that chance and you did sell everything up, have you gone as far as to think about what you might do?
No, I haven't. I think I'd take the
Yeah.
time. I think that's where I'd actually take the time to sit down and think about it. But it's hard to get that bandwidth at the moment. To if I did go and do that, and I've had this conversation with people before, where people go, oh, and they, my nickname from when we used to work together was Shaggy. People go, hey, if Shaggy, you could just retire tomorrow and just get by, couldn't you, without without anything? I'm like, yeah, I could just come up with basically infinite amount of things that I could do, which would just take up my day. Like I don't need a structured sort of activity because I've got enough bits and pieces that my day would be sort of full. So yeah, I think even if I did nothing, I'd end up doing something.
Yeah, it's a good way to think of it. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I don't know, Matty. I don't know. I a couple of weeks ago when I was getting a bit fed up with it, I've gone, I just sell the two businesses and just work out what I do then and to see how long I could live for on that cash, which would be, I don't know, might be a while, might not be.
I always used to say to you, mate, you've got a lot of fingers and a lot of pies, so I'm sure you would land on your feet quite easily.
Yeah, hopefully. I wouldn't want to land on my ass, that's for sure. But that's maybe a good place to wrap it up for this week anyway. Remember to subscribe to Daddy Eats Last on iTunes if you haven't done already. And while you're there, please leave a review. Also tell your mates about the podcast, especially if they are guys. Most of all, thanks for listening. Be back next week for another episode, or should I say serving, of Daddy Eats Last. Is that a dad joke? I don't know. I'm going to claim it though. Catch you next week.
Bye bye. Bye bye.